Ladies and gentlemen, in this video, I'm going to introduce you to the last Docker homepage you'll ever need. If you're anything like me, you use Docker and you always like to have a homepage, but you can't really seem to find the one that sticks. Maybe you've tried just homepage, maybe you've tried Heimdall or any of the other ones, but in this video, there's a brand new one that was just launched a few months ago that I think you'll like the most out of any other homepage option. It gives you a ton of customizability, a ton of features that none of the other Docker homepages have, and it's very easy to configure, and it looks super nice, and it also has a mode specifically for mobile devices, and it looks absolutely amazing no matter what device you're on. So I'm going to switch the scene here, and this is what it's called. It's called Glance, not to be confused with some other, I think there's some other Glance Docker type container that has a similar name, but this one is Glance, the homepage, and this is the picture that they've got as their template. Mine is pretty similar, so I'll show you that in a minute. Actually, I'll just go ahead and show you guys that now, and then I'll get into all the different features. So this is my homepage that I've created. It's kind of similar to the template they gave, but I put my own things that I liked on here. So on the top left here, we've got the calendar. You can't like interact with anything on the calendar, but that's not a huge deal just because this isn't a calendar application. It's just to show you what day it is. And I also kind of like how it shows you what week of the year it is. So there's only 12 weeks left in the year, so we're almost done. But moving on from the calendar, we've got another little section here on the left, which is my Reddit pages. I'll probably add some more soon, but for now I just have r/walkaway and r/politics, which are the two main right and left leaning political pages on Reddit right now. I like to see what both sides are saying. And then I've got Hacker News, which is built into Glance. It's not a Hacker News, of course, is a website Y Combinator, but it's built into Glance as a widget is what they call them. They call these widgets. So this is a widget. This Reddit section is a widget. The calendar is a widget. Everything else like that. And then in the middle, I've got some RSS feeds. So I've got U.S. news, world news, Christian news. So I like to keep up with all of these different things. And I also will probably add some more to this eventually as well for like tech news or, other things like that. And then if you scroll down, I actually have this you can change the amount of things it'll show in one page, and you can then add an amount that it will show more, and then you can show less. So you can customize. You can make it so it only shows 3 articles, and then it expands to 10, or you can show 10 and expand to 20. So I have mine as kind of a lot because I like to see a lot of different articles because I have a lot of different sources in my RSS feed. And then below that, I have the videos feed. This shows, currently I have this set as just the default, whatever they have, which is Jeff Geerling, Serve the Home, and one other one, I believe. Maybe not. I think the other one might not be working right now, but yeah, so I'll customize that eventually as well. And then over here on the right, we've got the weather. That is pretty interactive. You can't like click on anything, but you can scroll over and see what the temperature will be at specific hours of the day. It would be cool to have different, like a weekly view or something like that. That would be cool to be able to switch to in the future. It also gives you the feels like temperature, and it gives you the type of weather you have right now, like cloudy, overcast, rainy, something like that. So they could definitely add a lot more features of this in the future, but this is a very new application, so I don't expect them to have a ton of like super minute features available right now. And then after that is the market section. These are a lot of the markets that I'm interested in here, a lot of ETFs, and then I've got NVIDIA, of course, up 1.58%, so that's good. And then on the bottom, the last one here is Twitch channels. So these are some of the Twitch channels that I like. And then we can move over to monitoring. And this is one of the coolest things. I like that you can have different pages first, which is very cool. And it also adds monitoring for all my other Docker containers. So if I want to go and check out, my Jellyfin server, I can open that really quickly. Or I can go to, my election model, which you guys can check out as well at electionmodel.brandonpyle.com. You can also watch my previous video, was actually a video going over why I believe Donald Trump will win, but that's neither here nor there. We can also go through different bookmarks here on the left. I just have the default bookmarks here that they've provided for now. I will also be customizing this in the future. But this is really cool. You know, I've got this one is one of the ones that they don't have working yet, which is a Minecraft server I have running. Right now, they just ping the IP that you give it, or the web address that you give it. And so, of course, that won't work for a Minecraft server. So it would be very cool to see them do a UDP or a TCP check on stuff like Minecraft servers in the future. But yeah, so that's just a quick overview of a lot of different features, and they have even more features, which I'll go over in a second here. But that is one of the reasons. This is just the whole experience of how Glance works and what it can do is very cool, and it's one of the reasons why it's going to become my daily driver for my homepage for my Docker stuff. It's got, you know, an RSS feed. Oh, and I didn't even go over the search bar. You can search. If I search Reddit, I go to my own personal search engine here, and it aggregates all the results from a bunch of different search engines and displays them, which is very cool. So I have my own search field here, which is really cool. And so just the whole experience of Glance is super awesome. So now let's get into some of the features, and I'll also go over my how to get it up and running. So I'll go over the Docker Compose file as well as the configuration file as well. So let's go over the docs. And their docs are also very nice, very good, super easy to understand. It's very clear on everything. And they even give you a pre-configured homepage, which is pretty much what I did. I started with the pre-configured homepage, and then I just customized it as I went along. And so these are all the different widgets they have. So they have RSS, which I showed you, videos I showed you, Hacker News I showed you. Lobsters I don't know too much about, but I think it's some kind of like RSS type feed, something like that. Not 100% sure on that one, but they also have Reddit, which I had, search I have, groups. I also used groups. So groups you can see is these ones where you can click the different sections. That is called a group. And then if I go to the next one, the extension, you can add your own custom extensions if you want to code those yourself. We saw weather. I showed you guys the monitor. Releases is also really cool. So you can show different GitHub releases, so you can check if something has a new update or anything like that. So that'll be really cool for you guys that are big on different GitHub releases and stuff like that. You can also see DNS stats if you want to check like your Pi-hole or AdGuard server. That's there for you to be able to check that, which is also super awesome. There's also GitHub repository, so you can see like the GitHub stars. You can see the number of stars, number of forks, and then the recent issues and pull requests, which is awesome as well. Bookmarks, which I showed you, that was on the second page of when I showed you guys that. The calendar I showed you, and then change detection. This will show you a list of watches from change detection. I'm not super familiar with this one, but I know people that are familiar with that will find that useful to have there. There's also the clock, which I think I had. Oh, no, I don't actually have the clock. But this just allows you to have different time zones and show you the time difference and the current time in those different time zones, which is cool as well. You can see the markets, which I showed you, Twitch channels, Twitch Chop games. You can also do custom iframes, which is also very cool, and just literally any old custom HTML, which is also really cool if you want to get really crazy with it and customize a lot of stuff there. So there's a ton of customizability here, a ton of cool widgets. You can also do your own branding, so you can change this like logo here in the top left here and in the top of the corner there as well. You can change that. I just kept mine as the standard. But now let's dive into the actual Docker Compose file. So if I go over here, I'm sorry about this blinding white light here, but this is my file server, and I don't believe it has a dark mode, so that's what we're going to have to deal with. So this is the Docker Compose file. It's very simple. You just do a service. Your Glance is the name of it. The image is just glance app / glance. And then the volumes, you only need 3 of the 4 of these. You actually probably don't need time zone or local time because it'll probably just get those automatically, but it's always good to just include them just to make sure it has the correct time. So this first volume is just the glance.yml, which is going to be your configuration file to actually build what you want to show on the website. And then we have the assets, which is if you want to have custom images. So that you can see here on my monitoring page. All these custom images for Nextcloud and Vault Warden and all that stuff is from the assets page. So you'll have to include that in the Docker Compose if you want to be able to view it. So I would just go ahead and put it in apps assets, which is same folder as the glance.yml. You just add an assets folder onto that, and then you don't have to do you can actually just do // you can do / here. I believe you can just do that. Yeah, you should be able to do that and it'll still work just fine. And then we've got the time zone, the local time, ports. I've got mine as its standard is 8080, so if you don't want to change that, I don't think you need to include ports. But I have mine as 9898 because I have a lot of different containers open and running, so I've got to put custom port numbers there. Of course, the left side is the port that you're going to see on your side. 8080 is the internal port. And then restart unless stopped. Of course, you can change this to whatever you want, but unless stopped kind of makes sense. So yeah, so that's the Docker Compose file. And then now let's go over the glance.yml. So this file is pretty big. And for this one, I'm going to switch over to my Visual Studio Code here to show you guys this. Let me zoom in a little. I just realized that I have no camera. Sorry about that, guys. Give me 1 second. Alright, the camera is back, so hopefully we didn't miss too much with the camera, but it's not a huge deal that we lost the camera. So we'll just start here with the first section. So there's two main sections. There is server and pages. So the server will have your assets path and your base URL. So if you're not using a proxy server or like port forwarding this to your own custom website, you don't need that. You also don't need it if you're not using custom images. So basically, if you're not using your own custom website and you're not using custom images, you don't need to include server at all. You can just take that out. But it's very simple to set that up. You just do assets path, and then your path to your assets, and then your URL is just your website URL. And then now we have the pages, which is where all the magic gets done to create the different actual layout of the website. So let me actually show you guys this here. If we go to this section down here, so this gives a really good visual of how the layout works. So you have 3 columns. You can use either a small column or a full column. So the small column is of course like the left side column here, like this left side column here, and then the full column is the big one. And then here we have 2 small columns, and then the full column is in the middle. So if I go back to here, the widget is the specific section inside the column, the page is the entire area, and then the column itself is either the full one, like this middle one, or a small, like this side. And so there's not a ton of customization there. I'm pretty sure you can either do 3 small columns, 1 small column, and 1 full column, or 2 small columns and 1 full column. I'm pretty sure that's the only ways you can do it. You can only have up to 3 columns total, I believe. There's a chance you can do 4 small columns, but I'm not sure. But yeah, you'll pretty much just want to stick to those. I mean, the standard ones is pretty much what I have, 2 small and 1 large, or 1 small and 1 large, like I have here on the monitoring. But you can customize it a little bit there. So it would be nice to see a little more customization on their end with the different columns. You also cannot do you can't do like a small, large, small, and then underneath that you can't do like a small, large. You only have 1 set of columns, and that's it for the entire website. So if you want to do a different type of column setup, you have to do a new page. You can't like stack them. So I can't put like this monitoring page at the bottom of my home page. It doesn't let you do that. So there's not a ton of customization, but there's still enough to be able to get some really cool setups going. So first we'll go with the first section. So underneath pages is whatever the actual pages that you want. You give them names. So I have home and monitoring. So let's look at home first. Inside home, you'll have your columns. So columns will have, you'll see here, there's a small column. There's a small column, a full column, and then a small column. So just like my actual website shows, the small, the full, and the small. So the small side, you've got your widgets, and then underneath your widgets, you have the different types. So the first one is a type calendar, and the preset ones are very easy and simple. You just give it the type and give it the name, and then that's it. It'll just show up there with no further customization needed. And same thing for Hacker News. But where it gets more complicated is if you want to do a group. So for this group, this is kind of a simple group because it's already got the Reddit ones, which are very easy to get set up. So for a group, you do type group, and then you do another widget section, and then now you do all the widget types underneath this group that you want. So for my group, I did 2 Reddit sections, 2 Reddit widgets, and so it'll stack those on top of each other and give you a little toggle to switch between them. And that's the r/walkaway and the r/politics. So again, this Reddit is very easy to set up because it's kind of built in, but we'll get to some more complicated ones next. So for the full section, we got the search one, and this is really cool for search because it's also very easy. So pretty much all you have to do is put in your search. So I'm using Searx, SEARXNG, as my search engine running on Docker. So I have my own custom website, and then I have the query itself listed here. But if I want to change that to like google.com or search.brave.com, I can do that as well. And it's very easy to switch that. All you have to do is just change the URL. They pretty much all use the same like /q equals query. That should be the same for pretty much all of them. There might be 1 or 2 that are different, but that should be all you need for any of those main ones. And next we have the another group. And this one is a little bigger, a little more complicated because it is the RSS group. And so for RSS, you give it your title that you want, and you don't really need a title unless you're doing a group. The reason you need a title for a group is because that's what the name that shows up here at the top will be. So you pretty much need a name if you have a group. And then the limit, so I get a total of 48 RSS articles, and then you collapse after 16. So it'll only show 16, but then if I click more, it'll actually show all 48. So if I click show more here, it'll show all 48. And then the cache is 3 hours. I believe the cache is how often it refreshes. Let me see here. Let's see. Cache is how long to keep the fetched data in memory. Okay, so it'll keep it for that long in memory. So it'll keep 3 hours worth of data, and then it'll refresh everything. The style is detailed lists, and this is another really cool thing about Glance is there's a bunch of different styles. So if I go to the detailed list section, so these are all the different types of things. There's the vertical list, which is this one that you see here. There's the detailed list, which is the one that I have. So it has the images, the tags, and then like a little blurb about it, how long ago it was posted, and then like the author, I believe. And so the vertical list will be a little simpler. And then you have horizontal cards, which is what I have the YouTube videos showing up as. And then finally you have the vertical or horizontal cards too, which is kind of like a Instagram story type look, which is also pretty cool if you want that kind of feel. So those are the 4 different types of styles. I use detailed list for this one, and then you can show or hide thumbnails using the show thumbnails tag. And then after that, you just include your feeds. All it is just the URL of the RSS. Make sure that for the RSS, make sure the URL leads to a XML document. And then you give it a name with the title tag, and then you're done. So then I have the other RSS ones, same thing as the first one, and then I have the type videos, and the videos will automatically show up as a horizontal card. So if you want to keep it as a horizontal card, you don't need to specify that. But for the videos, this is a little interesting. For those, what you do is you go to the YouTube channel that you want. So let's say you want Gotham Chess. You go to youtube.com/whatever channel you want. You click on, there should be a share button. Click share. And then oh, here it is. Okay, so you click on more under their bio, and then you click share channel, and then copy channel ID. And then that's what you use here. And so then you just add it in. I'm also going to take out this one because I think that one's broken. And then it'll show up their videos in the feed. And then next we have the final one. So this one has the weather. You can change the units, imperial or metric. You give it the location. And then for markets, you give it just whatever the symbol name is. And then you give it your own custom name that you want to appear on the actual website. And then Twitch channels. So this is all just super simple, which I really love. So it's so simple. Like if you want to have Twitch channel, you give a type Twitch channel, and then you just write down all the channel names that you want. It's super simple. Super simple for the markets. You just give the symbol and the name that you want it, and it'll show up. So I love how simple everything is. This didn't take me long at all to make. Like this monitoring one probably took me the longest, but that's just because I had to download all the individual images, and that's like pretty much it. So for all this stuff, I didn't watch any tutorials. All I used was the documentation that they have, which is super awesome, because I love it when a website has good documentation, because it shows you that they actually care about what they're presenting, what they're giving you to use. So that's really awesome to see. So if you guys have any questions about how to implement all this, I would highly recommend you guys just go check out the documentation. All the links to everything will be in the description below. They have a lot of good explanations. Okay, so here's actually all the different column styles you can do. So you can do small, full, small, full, small. Okay, you can do 2 full columns, or like any combination of these other ones. So those are pretty much the main column types you have. And then last but not least, we have the mobile view. So if I switch this to mobile, this is how it'll look on mobile, which is really awesome. It looks super clean. You got the search bar up at the top, and then these toggles here are what will switch you between the different columns. So we got the left column with the calendar, the Reddit posts, and the hacker news. And then we got the middle column. You also got a button that will take you to the top of the page. And then you got the right column, which has the weather and the stocks and then the Twitch channels. And then if you want to switch to the other page, you can click this guy here and you can switch to monitoring. And then once that loads up, you've got all your monitoring things, and you can click on them to go to that page. And you've got the other page as well with all your bookmarks, and it is super seamless, super easy, and super awesome. So that is just my quick rundown of the Glance Docker container. This is what I'm going to be using for my main homepage going forward, and I recommend you do the same. Of course, whatever works for you works for you. So if you've got something set up with, one of the other ones, I have no problem with that. All the other ones are really great at what they do as well, but I do believe that Glance has the most features packed into the simplest configuration setup that you can find anywhere in the realm of Docker containers. So give it a chance, try it out, customize it, make it your own. I didn't even go into the themes. You can change the theme. If I go here to the themes, you can see all the different kinds of themes. You can change the colors, all kinds of different stuff. So there's a ton of customization for Glance that you can get into to make it your own. So yeah, I hope you guys learned a little bit from this video. If you do want to see more like Docker container overview videos kind of like this, let me know, and I would be more than happy to go through some, maybe I'll do a video going over all the Docker containers that I have. I have a bunch. Maybe I'll go through some of the lesser known, less common ones that I find. So yeah, just let me know what you want to see in the comments below. And yeah, so I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Make sure to give a like if you did, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. But other than that, I'll end it off right here. Peace.